A Marvel VFX artist pulled back the curtain and finally explained why Thanos might look better than She-Hulk in the Disney Plus series. The MCU streaming series She-Hulk, the lawyer has been praised for many things, but questionable CGI wasn't one of them. The legal comedy, led by Tatiana Maslany, has some fans over the lead character's CG look, especially when compared to other completely computer-generated heroes and villains elsewhere in the franchise. Several VFX experts working on She-Hulk talked about the CGI issues the team was facing, causing some scenes to look better than others. A producer on the project explained that they really had no plans when it came to VFX shots, and then wrote the best story they could with the CG elements in mind. But there may be a deeper reason why She-Hulk looks a little different compared to the likes of Josh Brolin's Thanos, and it has everything to do with the real emotions each character has to show on screen. Comparing She-Hulk and Thanos. Directly. Speaking to Befores and Afters, digital domain visual effects supervisor Phil Kramer, who led work on She-Hulk, attorney at law, offered some reasons why the Disney Plus series Talia-turned-superhero looks less believable than MCU villain Thanos. Kramer said a lot of it has to do with the real emotions each character has to experience on screen. Thanos was a bald, angry man, he said, and Tatiana is a young, bubbly actress with a wide variety of emotions, and she portrays them so vividly on her face. It's also important to remember that Thanos is a bald, angry man and Tatiana is a young, bubbly actress with a wide variety of emotions, and she portrays them so vividly on her face. This resulted in a higher degree of difficulty for the artists because with She-Hulk they had to show a range of emotions and facial expressions, often also while speaking, and the VFX system still keep and capture this. The challenge turned out to be much higher for Thanos than we created because Thanos didn't need to show a lot of emotion. He just looked great when he was coldly looking at the camera or angry. But now with She-Hulk, happy talking, including drunk and giggling. We needed to show a wide variety of emotions and facial expressions, and the system still needs to sustain and capture that. It was something we didn't expect, Kramer said. So our facial team, led by Fabrice Visserat and Ron Miller, has had to work hard on the details so far to force facial expressions. To be honest, this was something we didn't expect. The system was challenged beyond anything we've seen before. He also noted that for She-Hulk, the effects house uses the new, proprietary Masquerade 2.0 platform that allows them to go through the high-level framework-to-framework consistent network we use to train the system for machine learning, to be able to produce on our own, thus skipping a step in the process. We used our proprietary Masquerade 2.0 platform, and one of the great aspects of the new version is that we no longer need to import training data. Normally, we need Medusa-based training data, that is, from a very high-level framework to framework. The framework we use to train the system for machine learning is a coherent network. Then we recreate the high-resolution facial performance. But now we realize that only the HMC data, and also our internally generated data, is better than the data we got. We still got the Medusa data for the She-Hulk, but in the end we didn't use it. Speaking to Befores and Afters, Sydney Combo-Cantombo, senior animation supervisor for Weta FX, talked about the difference between She-Hulk and the other characters. She said Jennifer Walters/She-Hulk is a fully human character with no cartoon features. Even the Hulk is a bit of a caricature, who doesn't look completely human with his smaller nose and bigger chin. You're absolutely right. If you look at She-Hulk, there's no doubt even compared to all the other female characters we've made. She's a complete human character. Marvel didn't even make her a caricature of anything. Even the Hulk isn't a bit cartoony. He has a smaller nose, he has a huge chin. These minor changes to the Hulk's anatomy allow the viewer to accept mistakes or less convincing facial expressions. So the challenge with She-Hulk was getting the audience to see her and say, "Oh, that's just makeup, there's a real person behind it." So when you look at it as a spectator, something pops up in your head that says this thing isn't real, because no one is real, no matter how realistic it is, easier to admit mistakes or less convincing facial expressions. You can admit it. But She-Hulk, when you look at him, there is nothing caricature of his face, like anyone else on the street. So the challenge is to get the audience to see it and say, "Oh, that's just makeup, there's a real person behind it. He really had nowhere to hide, his eyes aren't big, he doesn't look like a cat. It has everything we do. Why fans shouldn't follow She-Hulk directly. That's exactly why fans need to look a little easier at She-Hulk when it comes to her CG look. It doesn't have the luxury that Hulk and Thanos have. Of course, Jennifer Walters' burly green cousin is brought up in the quotes above, but the same can be said for Thanos. Both the Hulk and Josh Brolin's Mad Titan might look a little more believable, as their appearances are not 100% human. Because there is something alien in nature to both, audiences are willing to forgive any mistakes or strange-looking facial expressions, because they subconsciously say, "Oh, these creatures are not of this world." The She-Hulk has no wiggle room on this front. He is the most human CG character ever seen in the series. Plus, add that he has to express his emotions almost every second instead of staring at the camera like Thanos or being constantly growling like the Hulk, and there will definitely be hiccups. But as these VFX artists learn and develop better/newer tools, hopefully the She-Hulk CGI issues will be a thing of the past. She-Hulk, Attorney at Law is streaming now on Disney+.